The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
The Pinky and the Brain.
Welcome to another exciting episode from Marvelous Videos. I'm your host, Tia Ayer. Pinky and the Brain 1995 cartoon explored. Pinky and the Brain, which co-starred with Animaniacs on the initial Kids WB lineup, had a more adult-oriented tone than its parent program. Pinky and the Brain was also shown in primetime, albeit at the worst possible time, 7 p.m. on Sundays, competing with 60 Minutes and also numerous football games. That primetime stint was a disaster. It's not much in comparison to governing the entire globe. Pinky and the Brain, two genetically altered mice who initially appeared in a recurrent one-act episode on the original Animaniacs, were promoted and given their own program in 1995. Pinky and the Brain premiered on Animaniacs 27 years ago, while the genetically engineered lab mice have had their own television program for 25 years. The WB station had no clue what to do about the show, which is why it was canceled. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin.
I gotta leave Florida, come over there, send you flying. What are you gonna do about it?
What the cartoon television series is all about. Pinky and the Brain was an American cartoon television series produced by Tom Ruegger, which aired on Kids WB on 9th September 1995. It was the first cartoon television show to be aired in Dolby Surround, and was also Steven Spielberg's fourth collab with his production agency, Amblin Entertainment, as well as Warner Brothers Animation. The characters initially debuted as a reoccurring gag on Animaniacs in the year 1993, owing to its ringing success. It was later adapted into a television program, with 66 episodes created. The protagonists all later debuted in the sitcom Pinky, Elmira, and the Brain, and have recently gone back to their humble beginnings as an Animaniacs segment in the 2020 reboot of that series. Pinky and the Brain are actually genetically modified laboratory mice that live in a cage at Acme Labs. Pinky is very good-natured and cheery, but feeble-minded, whereas Brain is extremely clever, self-centered, and cunning. In each segment, Brain comes up with a new plot to rule over the planet, which generally fails owing to the difficulty of Brain's scheme, Brain's own self-assuredness, Pinky's fumbling, and omission on Brain's part, events beyond their influence, or a combination of all of it. Many episodes, like so many other Animaniac pieces, are a spoof of something else, generally a film or a novel. Many Pinky and the Brain segments take place in the 90s at Acme Labs, which is located beneath a suspension bridge in some major American city. Numerous segments take place in different periods of history, with Pinky and the Brain at the laboratories of various scientists including Merlin, Ivan Pavlov, Johannes Gutenberg, and H.G. Wells. Outside of the two mice's common fixtures, there is very little cohesion between episodes, though some early plans for world dominance are later alluded into a subsequent season. For instance, Brain's mechanical human suit, first seen in Win Big, resurfaces when Brain confronts his adversary Snowball in the episode Snowball. With a few exceptions, the majority of each episode revolves around one of Brain's plots for world dominance and its final failure. One focuses on Snowball's plot to use Microsponge to take over the globe, which is a spoof of Microsoft. Another episode depicts Brain's one-day attempt to do anything other than take over the globe. In the conclusion, a bunch of people voted that he should rule over the globe on the only day that he does not want to. Pinky and the Brain, two white-colored lab mice maintained as component of Acme Labs' experimental research, have undergone substantial genetic alteration. As stated in the show's main lyrical content, these genes have been spliced, giving the two mice enhanced intellectual ability over that of the standard mouse, the ability to communicate with humans, and anthropomorphism. According to Project Brain, the gene splicing happened on the 9th September in 1995, which coincides with the very first full segment of Pinky and the Brain. According to the episode Brainwashed, Dr. Mordo, together with a hamster named Snowball and a cat named Precious, used the bagel warmer, Acme Gene Splicer, and hot dog steamer to splice the genes. Pinky and the Brain are not very hostile despite their plans to dominate the world. Pinky even penned a note to Santa Claus in a Christmas episode, declaring that Brain has the greatest interests of the world at heart.
Mr. Lollipop, he's talking about you!
No, Pinky.
Main characters of the cartoon series. Pinky. Pinky is actually a genetically engineered mouse that lives in the same Acme Labs cage as Brain. Pinky is a highly volatile and energetic mouse. He has various vocal tics including Zort, Narf, Traz, and Poit. and latter of which he began speaking after observing Zort mirrored incorrectly in a mirror. Pinky's look contrasts with that of Brain, whereas Brain is small, has a crooked tail, and pink-colored sclera, and communicates in a deeper, more articulate way. Pinky has a very straight tail, blue-colored sclera, and an extreme overbite, is bigger than Brain, and talks in a very high-pitched tone with a Scouse British accent. Pinky's name was given to him accidentally by Brain. When speaking to himself, Brain insulted the two researchers responsible for his gene splicing, claiming that they had less wisdom in both their brains than he had in his Pinky. Pinky then said, "Yes?" thinking Brain was addressing him. Pinky is much more open-minded, compassionate, and cheerful than the grumpy Brain. Troubles never mar his day, which might be because he is much too scatterbrained to notice them. He consistently assists Brain in his quest for world dominance, despite the fact that Brain frequently berates, belittles, and even assaults him. Pinky seemed to love it, frequently giggling after being smacked on the head. He is preoccupied with trivia, investing a great deal of time in the lab, watching television, and keeping up with popular cultural fads. Pinky occasionally comes up with irrational answers to issues. An entire episode, which is titled The Pinky POV, even depicts a typical evening of attempted world dominance from his point of view, demonstrating his thinking patterns and how he arrives at the strange, seemingly illogical answers to Brain's famous conundrum. If Pinky is pondering about what he is pondering, Pinky frequently points out problems in the Brain's schemes, which the Brain ignores. Pinky's concerns may ironically contribute to the failure of the scheme in the particular night storyline. He is also Brain's sense of morality and real buddy. Pinky made a pledge for his soul to the devil in the episode, A Pinky and the Brain Halloween, to give Brain the world. But Brain rescued him since he wanted him around and the world was not worth governing without him. Pinky, despite his alleged idiocy, has always demonstrated intellect. In the episode Welcome to the Jungle, he used his instincts to survive and become a commander to Brain, who in spite of his brilliance could not live in the jungle on his own. Once Pinky became the president and the pink candidate, he later began invoking numerous constitutional changes and legal issues that would prevent Brain from carrying out his newest scheme to take over the globe. When Brain attempted to pressure him helping, Pinky refused, claiming that the plan went against everything that he ever stood for. The Brain, or simply Brain, resembles and talks like Orson Welles. In the episode, Whatever Happened to Baby Brain, Brain runs into Welles, who now is employed as a janitor in a Hollywood eatery, and they mistakenly exclaim together that things will be different when they take over the planet. Brain's moniker is the acronym for the titular program under Project Brain, which is Biological Recombinant Algorithmic Intelligence Nexus. His tail, unlike Pinky, is angular and twisted, and he frequently uses it to open the lock on the cage door. His head is huge and broad, and it houses an exceptionally enormous brain. He is extremely brilliant and devises sophisticated schemes for world dominance that involves politics, cultural illusions, and his own creations. He appeared cold and emotionless, speaking in a snide, deadpan tone. Despite this, Brain has a delicate sense of wit and has even been in love, first with Trudy in The Third Mouse, and then with Billy in the episode The World Can Wait. Brain has also been contrasted to Don Quixote and even has been described as a pop culture image of Napoleon Bonaparte due to his size and megalomania. Brain views his inevitable climb to power as beneficial to the planet rather than just megalomania. He told Pinky in the Animaniacs segment Wacko's Wish that they were on their way to fame, money, and a planet that was a way better place for everybody. Several of the Brain's machinations have the final goal of gaining a place in the hearts of people and then getting them to elect him as their king. His motivations, however, are not pure. In one segment, Brain gets hypnotized by a doctor he had planned to use in one of his plots, who reveals himself to be none other than the famous Sigmund Freud. Brain confesses that he used to live in a tin can located at the bottom of a tree in a big field with his parents. When Brain was younger, Acme researchers kidnapped him and whisked him away from his home. The last thing he saw was an image of the globe on the wall of the container. Dr. Freud suggests that Brain's desire to rule the world is misdirected, and that what he truly desires is to return home to his family. According to the authors, Brain wishes to rule over the world, not to be a dictator like his competitor Snowball, but rather because he feels that he can do a better job than the people in control. Brain has even contributed to the planet's salvation by doing all of his ability to halt Snowball's terrible ambitions, understanding that a world ruled by Snowball would be the worst-case scenario. Throughout the 2020 Animaniacs revival, Brain faces a new foe in the shape of his wife, who is named Senator Julia Brain, following his efforts to mind control her into becoming a puppet dictator for him, resulting in her becoming completely insane. Snowball the hamster. He is Brain's old childhood friend turned rival, who like Brain was rendered smart by genetic manipulation and has a similar ambition for global conquest, albeit his motivation is considerably more malicious than Brain's, which Pinky and the Brain are often compelled to put a stop to. Billy. She is a white-colored female mouse and yet another consequence of gene splicing. She is sharper than Brain and she also desires world dominance. Though Brain adores her, Pinky is her favorite. In the show's segment, You'll Never Eat Food Pellets in This Town Again, it is disclosed that Brain is actually married to Billy, who is in real life is named Sheila and despises playing Billy, and who agreed to tie the knot with him only due to the fact that he is famous, and ultimately kicks him out and forces him to live in his restaurant. It is eventually discovered that the incidents were all a dream. Fairfic Newton. Pinky falls head over heels in love with her, a white-raced mare. Pinky refuses to heed to Britain's continuous reminders that he is a rodent and that Fairfic Newton is actually a horse. Larry. He is a white-colored mouse who was developed in response to Kids WB executives' request for more characters in the series. His appearance is infrequent because the show's creators thought that adding another character would break the synergy among Pinky and the Brain, who performed best as a comedic pair, hence a third figure would be out of sync and unneeded in the storyline. To further prove this point to everyone, Larry's first debut in the show was depicted by a slightly changed version of the original theme song with the phrase, "And Larry," and sandwiched in between the existing lyrics. Because he's a spoof of Larry Fine, who is from the Three Stooges. The segment is named Pinky and the Brain and Larry. Other characters on the show have featured both of Pinky's and Brain's parents, as well as the duo's son, Roman numeral 1, or Rami for short, another white-colored mouse who was the product of a cloning error. Caricatures of celebrities appear in different episodes, including Hillary and Bill Clinton, David Letterman, Drew Carey, Dick Clark, Ryan Stiles, Michael Keaton, Kathy Kinney, Annabelle Gurwitch, J.D. Wilkes, Don Rickles, Donnie and Eric from 2 Something, Paul Gilmartin, Macho Man Randy Savage, the Allman Brothers Band, Jack Black, Chris Shiflett, David Cross, Christopher Walken, and Jim Neighbors as Gomer Pyle, which was not unusual even in the case of other Animaniacs programs. Pinky and the Brain's debut episode was titled Das Brain. In this episode, Brain has managed to free himself and Pinky from the mouse prison. His most recent scheme entails taking a mind-control narcotic found in the mucilaginous coating of a rare frog, which also happens to be in the lab, and mind-controlling a large group of people by serving the narcotic as a component of a pancake fest. Brian would then use his recently acquired servants to enslave others, thereby gaining control of the world. However, 2 issues emerge. The first one is that the mind control medication has a highly bitter taste, making the pancakes extremely unpleasant. The second problem is that Brain requires one more component for his mind control drug, the flesh of a rare white crab that can only be found in one location, the dilapidated remains of the RMS Titanic. Pinky and the Brain then grab a submarine from inside the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute before heading to the wreck to raise it in order to recover the crabs. Brain could only turn the submarine slightly to the right, since there is an anti-theft mechanism on the steering wheel. As a result, instead of the fast, straight-ahead route he had planned, he must follow a broad circular path that will take him significantly longer. Brain's scheme fails despite their efforts, since Pinky removed the mind-controlling narcotic from the pancake batter to improve the taste. The episode concludes the Brain returning to the cell to plan his next plot. Of Mouse and Man is the name of the second episode of Pinky and the Brain's first season. Brain's next plan for world dominance is to lock the whole telephone system in an unending voicemail loop, keeping everyone on the line and preoccupied while he takes control. However, he needed the unusually exact figure of $1,614,000 to do so. How would you obtain all of that money? A sleazy lawyer's ad persuades Brain that the best course of action is to acquire a job, manufacture a working injury, and afterwards sue his company for workers' compensation. Brain finds a job at an unethical reassurance firm while wearing his human costume. His boss's lingering suspicions about his CV and a probable sexual harassment suit complicate his strategy, but Brain eventually fakes his injuries and a tense trial starts. This is the first segment in which Brain pretends to be a human by wearing a human costume. The humor is that the suit is both super strong and difficult to control, resulting in things like Brain crushing his boss's table when shaking hands. However, Brain makes no effort to conceal his head, resulting in the bizarre image of a little mouse head poking out of a humanoid torso. When Brain's new employer hires him, he drops off a handful of one-page paperwork outlining company standards, then dumps a massive stack of paper which is the company's sexual harassment policy. Brain later gets into some scrapes and difficulties when his faulty human suit causes him to mistakenly manhandle his gorgeous colleague. Pinky appears in the human costume just as Brian's litigation plot fails and he is jailed for lying. Unfortunately, he ends up treading on Brian during the process. In the episode Tokyo Grows, the Brain planned to utilize a growing ray to expand Pinky to become supersized while costumed as Gollyzilla, a spoof of Godzilla, while Brain will stop him in return for global dominance. Eventually, the real Godzilla raises from the sea and begins a rampage, leading Brain to believe that the real Godzilla is actually Pinky. The episode concludes with the beam expanding everything on Earth, along with the Earth to the point where the Brain, Pinky, and even Godzilla are again mouse-sized in contrast. The title of the piece is a play on Tokyo Rose, the term coined by the Allies to every female English-speaking Japanese protagonist broadcaster during World War II. Brain creates a contraption that can raise or reduce intelligence in the episode, the smarts, so that Pinky could become intelligent enough to comprehend that he is the source of Brain's failures. Pinky, who is upset because Brain does not like him while he is clever, uses the device to make himself dumber so that Brain may like him again. However, Brain, seeing that he is the source of his failings and assuming that both of them would be better off having Pinky as the scholar and Brain as the fool, uses the device on himself as well. Finally, both of them turn into fools who are too stupid to run the machine and return either of them to the smart selves. Finally, Brainstem, which is about 2 minutes in length, is merely a track in which the Brain and Pinky sing about the human mind and its many sections. The ending line of The Brain relates to an urban legend involving a children's show host who allegedly finished one broadcast shouting something obscene without knowing he was still on air.
Try to take over the world.
They're Pinky and the Brain.
Cartoon casts: Rob Paulsen as Pinky. Robert Frederick Paulsen III, born 11th March 1956, is a voice actor from the United States. Paulsen has provided the voices of over 250 distinct cartoon characters and over 1,000 commercials. For his portrayal as Pinky, he got a Daytime Emmy Award as Outstanding Performer in a Cartoon Program, while he has also 3 Annie Awards under his belt. Maurice LaMarche as the Brain. Maurice LaMarche, born 30th March 1958, is a voice actor, comic, and impressionist from Canada. He played the Brain in both Animaniacs and its original program, Pinky and the Brain. Linda Borden and Guy LaMarche gave birth to Maurice in Toronto, Canada. Soon after his birth, his family relocated to Timmins, Ontario. LaMarche grew up in his own little universe of animations and 60s television. He discovered the popularity his knack for mimicking might bring him when he was in his second year of high school. Roddy McDowall as Snowball. Roderick Andrew Anthony Jude McDowall was a British actor, movie director, and photographer who was born on 17th September in 1928 and passed away on October 3, 1998. He began his performing career as a kid in England, then in America. McDowall worked as a leading man on radio, theater, cinema, and television as an adult. Following the onset of World War II, McDowall's family relocated to the United States of America in 1940. On 9th December in 1949, he was naturalized as a U.S. citizen.
Before each night is done, their plan will be unfurled by the dawn.
Interesting facts about the show. Eddie Fitzgerald, Tiny Toon Adventures creator and animator, was fond of saying Norf, God, and Poit, but his Norf sound more like Nerf. The Brain reminds us of the Animaniacs writer and producer Tom Minton, and is most likely a caricature of him. Rob Paulsen, who voiced Pinky, was the original voice of Raphael of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and also Yakko on Animaniacs. Maurice LaMarche previously played Chief Quimby on the show Inspector Gadget, and also played George Wilson and Henry Mitchell on the program Dennis the Menace, as well as Destro on the show G.I. Joe. Paulsen was a Monty Python aficionado and rightly predicted that the makers of Pinky and the Brain, especially executive producer Steven Spielberg, would appreciate the English thing for the character. In the briefly running cartoon inspired by the cult film, LaMarche portrayed Zoltan and also Tomato Guy, which he had never even seen. Mamato and also Tomato Worm were both voiced by Paulsen. According to LaMarche, his tone for the Brain is actually 20% Vincent Price and 70% Wells. LaMarche was originally handed a cassette of Wells fighting with one of the recording engineers in the 1980s as a prize for skipping a great New Year's Eve celebration in order to complete a grueling day of voice acting. As a component of his vocal warm-ups, the actor heard it continuously, eventually memorizing it and repeating Wells' rants, as was the situation with all Warner Brothers cartoons during the 1990s. The words for the theme song were penned by the creator of the show, Tom Ruegger, and the melody was produced by Richard Stone, who is widely regarded as the modern-day successor of Carl Stalling, who created the soundtracks for Warner Brothers short films for more than 20 years. Stone died of pancreatic cancer in 2001, aged 47. The WB's network management wanted the program to turn into more of an ensemble show similar to The Simpsons in 1998. The two rodents were recruited by Elmira Duff from Tiny Toon Adventures and were tentatively named The Further Adventures of Pinky and the Brain. It only lasted 13 episodes. Brain gets the adverse effects of smoking after volunteering as a test rat for a tobacco firm in the episode Inherit the Wheeze. The program received a Prism Award from the Entertainment Industries Council for accurately portraying the consequences of drug, alcohol, and cigarette usage. Brain is writing a difficult formula regarding the universe explained, which is simplified in the opening titles and the final solution in THX 1138 with the year 1971, which is the name of George Lucas's debut film. Snowball, Brain's adversary, was nicknamed after a figure in George Orwell's famous Animal Farm. Bruce Timm accidentally conceived the ideas of the Brain and Pinky while drawing cartoons of producers Tom Minton and Eddie Fitzgerald. Cancellation of the show. The Brain's voice actor Maurice LaMarche told Uproxx that the show was envisioned as more or less the WB's equivalents to The Simpsons. However, apart from its basic scheduling flaws, Pinky and the Brain did not fit the form of a classic sitcom. This caused a lot of friction between both the creative department and the broadcasting network. The characters were terrific, but WB execs could not get into the global takeover idea and kept pressing the production to bring in additional actors and make it much more sitcom-y. For the majority of the show's life, this resulted in persistent opposition against forced retooling. The segment Pinky and the Brain and Larry mocked the notion of introducing additional characters for no apparent reason by demonstrating how a third mouse styled after Larry Fine, who was from the Three Stooges, would disrupt the chemistry. Pinky and the Brain were subjected to awful presentations for new schemes in Brain Drained, whereas You'll Never Eat Food Pellets in This Town Again, which was the final episode written and produced by Peter Hastings before he left, explicitly criticized the WB's leadership. In the end, the demands of the network prevailed. Pinky and the Brain got reworked as Pinky, Elmira, and the Brain in 1998, the very same year Animaniacs got terminated. Acme Labs was demolished, and the Brain and Pinky became the pets of Tiny Toon Adventures, cloying Elmira Duff. Plots about world dominance fell in lieu of more typical suburban sitcom shenanigans. The title song alone made it apparent that everyone involved in the program despised it. Viewers disliked it as well, with just 5 of the 13 produced episodes obtaining a regular broadcast, while the others were subsequently screened as part of an anthology program named The Cat and Birdie. Pinky, Brainy, Warner-Rooney, Big Cartoony Show. That marked the end of a 2-decade cooperation involving Steven Spielberg and Warner Brothers Animation, with Kids' WB enjoying greater successes than ever before with lower-cost purchases such as Pokemon. It also marked the end of the platform's considerable expenditures in original comedic cartoons. The classic Pinky and the Brain program warranted so much better, but it has become somewhat of a contemporary classic in the decades after its awful retooling and discontinuation. We can only hope that the duo's return to Hulu is a pleasant return to form. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.
Come to stand for.
Fine. I shall do it my...
At last, Pinky, my humble invention has finally come to fruition. Behold,
Are you sure you don't want to turn, Brain?
seeing you happy is all the fulfillment I need, Pinky. Run! Thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
Got it.
Are you sure? Repeat it back to me.
Okay. I kiss you over here, then you hug me, and then...
The only thing I need now is a reliable power source. Yet the only substance capable of generating the necessary energy is the rarest element in the universe. Quantium. No, that's not it.
Oh, sorry, what did you say? Because I said love.
Quantium.
Okay, maybe just say it on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Quantium.
Oops, I missed it again, because I was saying 3.
Quantium. With the entire world's population trapped in their vehicles, my ascent to the global throne will be obstacle-free. Let go! Thank you for saving my life, Pinky.
Why, of course, Brain. You're my best friend.
And you are Pinky.
Oh, that's sweet, Brain.
Don't.
Gee, Brain, what do you want to do tonight?
The same thing we do every night, Pinky.
Pinky, are you pondering what I'm pondering?
I think so, Brain. But if we watch Mojo, will there be anything else to watch?
Of course, Pinky. Many, many things. First of all, you'll be watching Mo, which is me. Hi, I'm Mo. I'm Maurice Lamar.
And my name is Joe, Mojo. No. Hi, my name is Rob Paulson. And I'm the really smart brains of the heart, Pinky. Nerve.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down the top 10 Pinky in the Brain moments.
Nerve.
For this list, we're looking at this diabolical duo's defining moments across all incarnations, from Animaniacs to their spin-off to Animaniacs again. And we're lucky enough to have the voices behind both Pinky and the Brain here to give us some insights and behind-the-scenes factoids about their favorite moments as well. Are you pondering your favorite Pinky and the Brain moment? Let us know in the comments. Now, it's time for us to do the same thing we do every night. Try to take over the World Wide Web. Number 10. Brain's Origins. Animaniacs. We all know that Brain wants to take over the world, but why?
You're always trying to work out how to take over the world, but you've never told me why you want to take over the world, Brain.
Sigmund Freud once deduced that Brain's obsession stems from childhood trauma when he was taken from his tin can home, which had an image of the world on it.
There have been alternate origins to, we can say maybe it takes place in multiple universes. Certainly, this was an anachronistic episode. This went back to the turn of the century and Brain being treated by Freud because the plot was to infiltrate the psychotherapy of Kaiser or somebody like that.
Oh, that's right. It was some world leader.
So, and then he ends up getting trapped in therapy with Freud and figuring out why he wants to take over the world. That's one version. Then there's the version, this is an OG episode. And then there is the one where we're trapped in the car that opens this video.
The Animaniacs reboot adds another layer to the Brain's surprisingly sad origins. Opening up to Pinky, Brain reminisces about how Acme Labs experimented on him. Presented with a plate of delicious cheese, Little Brain is shocked every time he attempts to grab it. This fueled Brain's desire to seize control of his life and the world. Much like the cheese, the world is always out of his grasp. It's a tragic backstory.
From that day hence, I vowed I would be the one in control of myself, of my surroundings, of the world.
Although Pinky's origins make the moment tragically hysterical.
They wanted to see if mice could tell the difference between Camembert and Brie, so they fed me all these amazing cheeses, but I could not tell them apart.
Number 9. Brain says the incorrect spell. Animaniacs. This Animaniacs episode was entirely dedicated to Pinky and the Brain, demonstrating that they had the potential to carry a show. On a medieval quest, the mice survive Witch Hazel, a troll, a giant Ralph, and a dragon.
We must cross the enchanted forest filled with witches, goblins, and ogres. Then we must climb the murky mountain and enter the lair of the horrible red dragon and steal some of his toenail clippings.
After all that, Brain just needs to say a simple spell that will grant him control of the world. Pinky's stupidity and Brain's ego prove to be their downfall, however. Throughout the episode, Pinky struggles to complete his songs, even though the rhymes seem obvious.
This is where I got to call my dragon to sleepy land, and then I couldn't come up with an obvious rhyme and a lyric, right?
Right.
We stroll right past a candy house made of sweets that taste good to us.
Mouse!
This repeatedly frustrates Brain, culminating in him messing up the spell. It's hilarious that Brain would throw away all that hard work just because he couldn't let one little annoyance slide.
Grant that I become
He's
the...
number one, the big banana, coconut,
Big cheese! It rhymes with ease. Big cheese!
We guess you could call it a real cheesehead move.
Look, Brian, you look like you're a fan of the Green Bay Packers. You're a cheesehead.
I'm a cheesehead.
No.
Number 8. Brain meets his parents. Pinky and the Brain.
Oh, no.
This one, now this is where we have the Oscar.
The Oscar winner. This is what I was thinking of. Check this out, you guys. This will blow your mind when you find out who plays Brain's father. Check this out.
It's always interesting when we learn more about the Brain's upbringing. In the spin-off Season 1 finale, Brain is reunited with his parents.
Hey, Dad, what is it, Brain?
Pinky, these two mice. It can't be.
What?
These mice are my parents.
Since they're ordinary field mice, he's unfortunately unable to communicate with them. Brain invents a couple of devices that allow them to speak.
Father?
Son?
Son, look at you.
Look at you.
But he quickly comes to regret this. The brilliant lab mouse clearly doesn't take after his mom or dad, who are voiced by Tress MacNeille and Oscar winner Ernest Borgnine, respectively.
This was Ernie's first cartoon.
What?
He'd never done a cartoon before, and then he went on to do a whole bunch of SpongeBob.
Right.
Listen up, you villains. I want to eat my meatloaf. If you don't get out of here, then by the power invested in me, I now pronounce you man and wife.
If anything, they have more in common with Pinky. Any grown adult with overbearing parents will relate to Brain as his folks nitpick every facet of his life.
Son, why don't you be a good boy and go gather some berries and bits of wheat?
Well, I've got some food pellets right here.
Ha! Food pellets! Ho ho! He's got food pellets!
Thankfully, Brain manages to find a win-win situation by sending his parents to where all senior citizens eventually go, Florida.
Florida.
Number 7. Pinky's world domination plan. Pinky and the Brain.
Why don't you come up with our next plan for world domination?
Do you mean it, Brain?
By all means, Pinky. Make a plan and we will follow it to the letter.
After numerous failed attempts to take over the world, the Brain decides to let Pinky come up with the next plan.
And it works.
Although Brain expects Pinky's plan to crash and burn, the road to world domination is practically rolled out like a red carpet. What starts off as an oyster petting zoo leads to Pinky becoming mayor for a day, which leads to him taking over a media empire, which leads to Bill Clinton making him chairman of the Federal Reserve.
The edict from the top with Mr. Spielberg was absolutely do not condescend to the audience. This is like Rocking Bullwinkle. It's like Looney Tunes.
He makes you call him Mr. Spielberg?
He does.
I get to call him Steve.
Is that right?
I don't know.
But you bowl with it. I don't. I don't bowl with it.
As it turns out, Pinky's plan was inspired by the Brain schemes. When you think about it, most of the Brain's ideas are nonsensical on paper. Behind the insanity, however, there is genius. Brain makes the mistake of taking over Pinky's plan, though, resulting in another failure.
Today we've discovered a force more powerful than luck or genius.
What's that, Brain?
Stupidity.
Number 6. Larry, Pinky and the Brain.
The network at the time, we were about to go into prime time, and one of the notes that they had was, we need to expand the cast of characters. We need more people. There needs to be a whole mouse society that Pinky and the Brain moved within. And Peter Hastings and Gordon Bresack pushed back and said, no, it's them against the world.
Pinky and the Brain are a dynamic comedy duo like Laurel and Hardy or Abbott and Costello. So when the network pressured the creators to add another character, they responded with Larry.
Tonight's plan is my masterpiece, Pinky. And, Larry?
Hi there.
In the episode, Larry is voiced by none other than Billy West.
Our dear friend Billy West ultimately ran Ann Stimpy, Doug, the Red M&M, Fry, Zoidberg,
The Professor.
Farnsworth,
Yep, Professor Farnsworth.
Zach Brannigan.
Oh, please don't mention that name.
Right, and Mo.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, tell them who you are and feature on.
Oh, my. Zach Brannigan makes me manscaping before every mission. I don't mind that as much as the pedicures.
And he's Morbo. Morbo the dude.
Morbo is pleased yet sticky to meet you, but this is about Billy West, the puny human who plays Larry in this episode.
Larry resembles Louis Feinberg. We suppose the Brain would be Mo and Pinky would be Curly. Unlike the Three Stooges, however, Brain finds there isn't room for a third member, especially one with nothing to contribute.
I'm going to have to hurt you, Larry.
But Brain, what did I do?
Nothing.
Trying to introduce a Larry, or a Zeppo for that matter, just ruins a dynamic that was already perfect.
So this was almost a protest episode to add
just for the sake of
a character that just doesn't belong there.
Right.
It's a clever meta-commentary on television network interference, although Kids WB would eventually get their way with Pinky, Elmira, and the Brain.
Situations change for Pinky and the Brain.
Number 5. Cloning a son. Pinky and the Brain. Raising a baby Superman didn't pan out, but Pinky and the Brain later welcomed their own son into the world. Technically, Brain clones a son whom he names Roman numeral 1, or Romy for short.
We'll call it Roman numeral 1.
Roman numeral 1. Romy!
Since Pinky's toenail accidentally mixes with Brain's tissue, Romy is a product of both mice.
That just looked like Brain got birthed. What happened? It looked like he was being pulled from the birth canal of a larger brain. That was so bizarre.
That was great.
What a visual.
Yeah.
While Romy is smarter than Pinky, he lacks Brain's ambition to dominate the world. We're not sure if the writers were trying to make real-world commentary, but seeing two male characters raise a child was quite progressive for 1997.
This was something of an early trailblazing episode in that, of course, two males can raise a child.
Why not?
Of course they can.
Yeah, this was about the same time as Three Men and a Baby.
The episode is ultimately about letting your children choose their own path. In a touching resolution, Brain accepts Romy's desire to become a ventriloquist and date a human woman. Love comes in many forms.
What, pray tell, is more important than taking over the world?
I don't know. I want to be a ventriloquist.
That was me being Romy?
It was you as Romy. Now, to be fair,
they tweaked my voice.
They did treat you a little bit. To be fair, they originally wanted Christian Slater, and they put out an offer, but he wasn't.
Right.
Number 4, Going to Hades. Pinky and the Brain.
Just sign this contract, and you'll have no more late nights toiling to devise elaborate schemes.
Following another botched plan, the brain receives an offer from the devil, voiced by Gary Marshall.
Oh, Gary Marshall. Remember that?
I do.
And what was the word he had trouble saying? S-T-U.
You're being very stubborn, Brain.
Stubborn.
Very stubborn.
He couldn't say stubborn.
Yeah.
He said stubborn.
And that's not the only impressive guest star featured in this episode. Planet of the Apes star Roddy McDowall also appears as recurring character Snowball.
Snowball, are you pondering what I'm pondering?
Oh, Brain, I certainly hope so.
The late, great Roddy McDowall.
He answered every question I had about Planet of the Apes, Elizabeth Taylor, Night Gallery.
Gosh, yes.
I mean, the guy was a pro's pro. And
Treated us like old friends from the very beginning.
yeah,
It was
just
so
could not
fantastic.
have been more kind, more accepting, and like a lot of great people we've had the privilege of working with, make it about other people.
In any case, Brain doesn't give in to temptation, but Pinky sells his soul to make his best friend's dream come true. Brain finally takes over the world, although it's meaningless without Pinky.
Oh, you miss your little friend, do you?
No, I don't miss him at all. I have the world, don't I?
While he won't admit his affection for Pinky, Brain goes to hell for him. In one of the show's most heartfelt instances, Brain not only vows to give up his place as world leader, but also his entire conquest for world domination to get Pinky back. While the devil pulls a fast one on Brain in a rhythmic gymnastics challenge, it's Pinky's ignorance that ironically outsmarts the Prince of Darkness.
Pinky, do you know what this means?
He'll never be able to impress his friends at dinner parties with lovely radish rose garnishes.
Number 3, Animaniacs Reunion, Pinky and the Brain. Aside from an occasional reference, the Pinky and the Brain spin-off didn't feature many appearances from the rest of the Animaniacs crew. The series finale served as a reunion and a Star Wars parody.
There you are laughing with yourself, Pinky.
Yes, I'm laughing at myself. I'm getting paid for it.
Yakko and Pinky in the same shot.
That's right.
This is the
And,
only episode
Pinky.
also where we are same scales as the rest of the cast.
While Rita and Runt are absent, almost everyone else plays an integral role. Even Freakazoid briefly pops up. It's great seeing all of these classic characters work off each other again, especially in a creative environment like this.
I love seeing the shots with all the characters in it, a la the Star Wars bar. It's very cool.
Great stuff.
As per usual, though, the best interactions are between Pinky and Brain, who stand in for C-3PO and R2-D2. The episode also has what might be their most self-aware Are You Pondering? Gag.
Are you pondering what I'm pondering?
I think so, Brain 2. But a show about 2 talking lab mice? Whew, it'll never get on the air.
The series doesn't end with them taking over the galaxy, but more laughs would await in the next millennium.
Come, Pinkio. We must catch the space shuttle back to our home planet of Acme and prepare for the next millennium.
One of our best episodes.
Number 2, Saving the World, Pinky and the Brain. In an epic 3-parter that practically flows like a movie, Pinky and the Brain set out to save the world, so they can dominate it later.
I've never watched this episode. I know it's based on The Prisoner,
Right.
but I've never watched this triumvirate of episodes, and I found it very difficult to follow while we were
Did you?
recording it.
A little convoluted?
I didn't. So this is the first time I'm actually watching animation from it.
The duo must thwart an intelligent cat and villainous clown who plot to drain everyone's minds with a dance song inspired by the Macarena.
Drop down to your knees and try to look pretty. Chase a tail and a suckle and meow like a kitty.
Meow.
Yes, Mr. Hooven.
It's as silly as it sounds, but the Brainwash trilogy also ups the stakes like never before, even resulting in Snowball's cuddly undoing.
And I now play a character called Snowball on Rick and Morty. And I've been searching for my testicles for several years now. Having been married for 30 years, I think I know precisely where they are. But if indeed you happen to find them, please call Justin Llewellyn.
Where are my testicles, Summer?
The story builds to a funny, catchy, and large-scale climax in which the mice lead presidential aide Bobby Bob in a performance that reverses the Schmearskahooven's effects.
Put your fingers in your ears, then sticks them in your belly, ditty. Don't be afraid if it jiggles like jelly dang, yeah.
Pinky and the Brain saved the day, although their mousy worth goes unnoticed. Nevertheless, tomorrow is another night to take over the world.
Now we must prepare for tomorrow night.
Before we unveil our top pick, here are some honorable mentions. Christopher Walken as Christopher Robin, Pinky and the Brain. Just when you thought his Annie Hall monologue couldn't get any weirder.
Hello, Christopher.
Hello, Pinklet. Brainy, let me confess something.
We all do.
We all do.
Our own Christopher
fact,
Walken. Wow.
Morris and I are creating a show for Watch Mojo called The Walking Dead. Just so you know.
Wow.
Brain cries watching The Tiger Prince, Pinky and the Brain. Not to be confused with a certain Disney movie or Netflix docuseries.
Pinky, look, my face is leaking.
You're not leaking, Brain. You're crying.
My face is leaking.
My face is leaking. That's how unfamiliar with emotion I was, Pinky. Until you taught me the way. Yes.
Starting a nuclear war between the US and Canada. Pinky and the Brain. Hillary is still the most capable Clinton in 3502 AD.
Return fire! Destroy the Americans, eh?
You think you can mess with the commander-in-chief like that? I'll show you who's boss. Excuse me, Hillary. We've got a situation here.
I'm on it, Bill.
That's me as the Canadian.
Yes, I know. How you going, eh?
Just all I did was return to my original accent. The accent I'd spent decades trying to unlearn to work in the United States.
Brain becomes a country music star. Animaniacs. On top of the world, looking down on creation.
He's the hottest thing to hit Nashville since my mama's jalapeno grits. Here's Bubba Boba Brain.
You remember the song?
I am a lab mouse, I escaped from my cage. Never had a job, never earned minimum wage. But you will respect me, yes. Once my plan is unfurled, you will call me your leader. I'll be king of the world.
How about that?
Now, Pinky. Now.
Inspiration from an Orson Welles outtake. Animaniacs. Suddenly, we're in the mood for frozen peas.
Every July, peas grow there. Do you really mean that?
Yeah, but if you could start a half second later.
This episode was, until fairly recently, an obscure outtake of Orson Welles getting bent out of shape about being directed by some people over the voiceover for a frozen peas commercial.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
All right, here's the last one.
All right, the last one.
Number 1, Brain reads Pinky's letter. Pinky and the Brain.
I think that just has to, I don't know if it'll ever be topped, that episode.
No, and you guys picked exactly what we would have chose. We get to ask that question together and individually, and it is always the Christmas special.
Pinky and the Brain will always be best known for satire, but it was the show's heart that secured this Christmas special a Primetime Emmy for Outstanding Animated Program. Having delivered his hypnotic noodle noggin dolls around the globe, all of the pieces are in place for Brain to take over.
There. Now, Pinky, man your station at the switch.
The Brain could not care less about the letter Pinky forgot to send to Santa until he reads it.
When we went into the studio and just cold read that script, I actually cried when I got to Brain's reading of Pinky's letter.
Learning that Pinky asked Santa to give all of his gifts to his best friend, Brain and the audience are moved to tears.
P.S. By any chance do you have in that big old bag of yours the world?
He's so touched that he wishes the world a Merry Christmas instead. He might not get the world, but when Brain receives an Earth-shaped keychain from Pinky, we believe his heart grew 3 sizes. Narf!
Here, Brain.
Thank you, Pinky. And Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you, Brain.
That is such a profoundly great episode.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is that life imitates art because I love my Brain just that much.
My Pinky. Thank you for taking us down this trip down memory lane.
This is incredible.
Because even though we're making new Pinky and the Brains and Animaniacs
Yes.
episodes for you guys now. We forget we've been doing this off and on for 20.
It's incredible.
27 years. So
We've won the lottery. See, Watch Mojo fans, this is why Watch Mojo is so freaking amazing. Because we get to look back at this stuff and say, oh my God, this was a big deal. And here's why. So thank you, folks.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from Watch Mojo. And be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.
Pinky, are you pondering what I'm pondering?
I think so, Brain. But there's still a bug stuck in here from last time.
No, Pinky. We must travel to the depths of the ocean and raise the hull of that sorrowful ship. Pinky, are you pondering what I'm pondering?
I think so, Brain, but I get all clammy inside the tent.
Sigmund Freud would have had a field day with you, Pinky.
Oh, like sports then, did he?
The plan, Pinky. I will get a job at a large corporation, stage a hideous accident, and then sue them for $1,614,000 in workers' compensation. It will provide us with the necessary funds for our plan of earthly rule.
God, Brain! Brilliant! Oh, wait, no. Isn't that horribly illegal?
Yes, but once I rule the world, I will return the funds and then have Gerald Ford pardon me. Are you pondering what I'm pondering?
I think so, Brain. But I don't think Kay Ballard's in the Union.
I will alter this equipment and enlarge myself to become a 400-foot-tall mouse who'll save the world from Gollyzilla.
But you just said there was no such thing as Gollyzilla, Brain.
There is now, Pinky. Or should I say, Pinkzilla.
Yes, I see.
Are you pondering what I'm pondering?
Yes, I am.
This is fantastic. Do you see? You've already saved us an entire evening. Tremendous. Forget that plan. Take a look at this one, colleague.
Oh, Brain. Point.
Pinky, are you pondering what I'm pondering?
I think so, Brain, but the Rockettes? I mean, it's mostly girls, isn't it?
Pinky, aren't we rodents stigmatized enough already? You will sneak into the radio station, taking the place of the mist, so I can broadcast my genuine mental powers to millions of listeners, befogging their minds until they make me their leader. Are you pondering what I'm pondering?
I think so, Brain, but pants with horizontal stripes make me look chubby.
No, Pinky. If I put myself on that plaque, the aliens will recognize me as Earth's leader.
God, Brain, I can hardly recognize you now.
Pinky, are you pondering what I'm pondering?
Well, I think so, Brain, but pantyhose are so uncomfortable in the summertime.
No, Pinky. The money. We'll get it from the U.S. government.
Ooh.
First, we establish a bogus nation. Then, we dupe the State Department out of a huge foreign aid loan.
Genius, Brain! Oh, wait, no. Won't they know we're not a real country?
The average American's knowledge of geography is pitiful. They'll think we're part of the former Soviet Union or Canada. Yes, that's it. Pinky, are you pondering what I'm pondering?
Well, I think so, Brain, but it's a miracle that this one grew back.
No, Pinky. We shall use a weapon of great stealth, power, and corruption. Our own sitcom. Pinky, are you pondering what I'm pondering?
Well, I think so, Brain, but first you'd have to take that whole bridge apart, wouldn't you?
No, Pinky. They think I'm Napoleon.
Well, that's wrong then, isn't it? No.
Yes! Pinky, this is it. Look.
Elves wanted for Holiday Rush. Apply North Pole.
Pinky, are you pondering what I'm pondering?
Well, I think so, Brain, but apply North Pole to what?
The elves, Pinky. Santa's workshop is the most productive manufacturing facility in the world.
Apply North Pole to the elves?
Pinky, right now your brainwaves are giving the amazing Kreskin a pounding headache. Pinky, are you pondering what I'm pondering?
I think so, Brain, but Snowball for Windows?
No, Pinky. He's beaten us. Snowball has taken over the world. Of course. Cows are sacred in India, Pinky. They are allowed to go anywhere. Are you pondering what I'm pondering, Pinky?
Well, I think so, Brain, but... No, it's too stupid.
We will disguise ourselves as a cow.
Narf! That was it exactly!
That is a windmill, a source of power and food for humans.
Goddamn Cerebro! If the humans didn't have windmills, they'd be... horribly inconvenienced.
That's brilliant, Sancho Pinky. Are you pondering what I'm pondering?
I think so, Don Cerebro, but, why would Sophia Loren do a musical?
A worthy enigma, Sancho Pinky. But a more pressing concern occupies my superior intellect. If we stop the windmills from making flour for bread, we'll bring the humans to their knees. Then, as they grovel for food and power, we will take over the world. Are you pondering what I'm pondering?
I think so, Brain. But what if the chicken won't wear the nylons?
If we drain the Blue Danube, it would bring shipping to a standstill. And I could rise to power in the ensuing chaos. Come, Pinky, to the sewers!
Yeah! Egad, Brain!
Pinky, are you pondering what I'm pondering?
I think so, Brain. But isn't that why they invented tube socks?
Old friend, I'm loaning you to a cigarette company.
Not again!
No! Are you pondering what I'm pondering?
Well, I think so, Brain. But what if we stick to the seat covers?
No, Pinky. Something pink and chewy. We will package the cards with sausages.
Friendly sausages!
And I know just the place to get some. Pinky, are you pondering what I'm pondering?
I think so, Brain. But if you replace the P with an O, my name would be Oinky, wouldn't it?
No, Pinky. Those critics will seal our fate. I'm afraid the art world has had its fill of donutism.
Maybe they should eat more vegetableisms. Then wash it all down with a nourishing glass of milk.
Pinky, there's paint in there.
God, Brain!
This must be the ship that was shot down. Are you pondering what I'm pondering?
Ooh! I think so, Brain, but I think I'd rather eat the Macarena.
No, Pinky. If I knew how to fly this thing, we could use it to defeat Zalgar.
Gee, Brain, looks just like something from Z-Files. This thingamajig is the steering wheel, and this whatchamahoos it runs the engine thrusters.
Pinky, at last, your mindless TV viewing is helpful.
What? Oh, stop it, Vane. You're making me feel all gushy.
Pinky, are you pondering what I'm pondering?
I think so, Brain, but don't you need a swimming pool to play Marco Polo?
No, Pinky. We're trapped. We must find another way out. Yes! Pinky, are you pondering what I'm pondering?
Well, I think so. But Kevin Costner with an English accent?
No, Pinky. I shall be Robin Brain, a noble outlaw who steals from the rich and gives to himself.
But doesn't Robin Hood give to the poor?
Yes, but we don't want to be sued for trademark infringement. Now come. We must find a band of merry men.
Mayhaps the village people are still in town. What am I going to do about these hiccups, Brain?
Try leeches, Pinky. They work for everything. Pinky, are you pondering what I'm pondering?
Well, I think so, Brain. But do I really need two tongues?
No, Pinky. You, heaven help us, are going to be the next president of the United States. Are you pondering what I'm pondering?
Well, I think so, Brain, but we're already naked.
One more of those, and I'm calling the Pied Piper of Hamelin.
Yippee! Wait, he hates mice.
My plan, Pinky. We shall produce the saddest tearjerker ever, broadcast the movie worldwide, and leave the planet steeped in such depression, there'll be putty in our hands.
No!
Now follow.
Where to, Brain?
To a place that never shuts down, where the size of your wallet matters, and actors and actresses slave all day.
We're going to Denny's?
No, Pinky. Hollywood, California.
Are you pondering what I'm pondering?
We eat the box?
No, Brain. We build a boat, and then we eat the box.
Are you pondering what I'm pondering?
Well, I think so, Brain. But if Jimmy cracks corn and no one cares, why does he keep doing it?
No, Pinky. The secret of his strength must be his enchanted cloak. Quickly, grab that string.
If you're obsessed with taking over the world, call Megan on today for a meeting near you.
Pinky, are you pondering what I'm pondering?
I think so, Brain.
No.
But don't camels spit a lot?
I wasn't speaking of stubborn desert ruminants, Pinky, but of myself. As similar as the two subjects may sometimes seem, I know now what I must do. Pinky, are you pondering what I'm pondering?
I think so, Brain. But how will we get a pair of Abe Vigoda's pants?
No, Pinky. The transmitter is ruined. We've missed the planetary alignment, a once-in-a-lifetime occurrence.
Well, we'll just have to wait for the next one then, won't we?
Come, Pinky. We must rest up for tomorrow morning.
Why? What are we going to do in the morning, Brain?
The same thing we do every morning, Pinky. Run that stupid maze. I've taken us to every place a young runaway would go. MIT, the Franklin Mint, Pat Harrington's Dinner Theater. Apparently, Roman's not thinking like me. Pinky, are you pondering what I'm pondering?
I think so, Brain, but Pete Rose? I mean, can we trust him?
No, Pinky. He must be thinking like you.
Let's see. Where would I go if I were running away? Pull it again, Brain!
Yes! Pinky, are you pondering what I'm pondering?
I think so, Brain. But why would Peter Bogdanovich?
Pinky, you are one noodle short of a kugel.
Kugel!
Stifle, Pinky.
this one. Too poofy. Ooh, how about that? That is